Hey, class. So I want to look at this really quick. I really don't think there's that much that we need to go over for Monday. There's 3/4 of a pizza left over. How many portions are there? I don't want the answer, but what are we gonna do? How are we gonna solve it, Jacob? Which is because how did you set it up?
So what I did was I took 3/4 on the left side and then put it
But before you did keep, change, flip, what kind of problem was it?
3/4 divided by 1/8.
So it was a division. So you're going to divide 3/4 divided by 1/8, which you can use keep, change, flip to do it. I don't want the answer. So, but yeah, keep, change, flip is the steps for dividing fractions. And so you're going to start with the 3/4 because that's what you're breaking up.
Multiply by 2.
No.
Yeah, because 4 times 2 equals 8, and 3 times 2 equals 6. So that's an easy one.
But yeah, that's
But that's not the answer.
Yes, it is. It's 8/6.
No, it's not.
6.
It's 6.
It's 6.
It's just 6.
Exactly, but you could still get the answer from that because you'd have 6/8, and that's 6/1/8. So that's
Number
just
2
6.
is 100.
Oh, I get it.
You all right, Cole? Yes, Taylor?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on, guys. This apparently has more to talk about than I thought. Okay, so Jacob did keep, change, flip, which would work. Taylor, you're saying so you started.
It's not working.
We just got back up off like a cause it's not working.
But it was working yesterday.
But it never works when you turn it on. That's all.
Okay. Oh wait. Okay, so I'm not gonna do that. But so we have 3/4 divided by 1/8. What now? 3/4 divided by 1/8. So Taylor, what did you do?
I found the common denominator for both of them, 1/8, and then I got 6/8. And I need to, for 1/8 to get to 6, I had to do 6 times.
Yeah, so you found a common denominator of 8, I guess. So that would make it 6/8 divided by 1/8, which means it would go over 6 times. So that would work as well. For number 2, Cole, you're right. It is 130. What steps did you do in long division?
Okay, so I did 13 goes to 16 at one time.
Okay, I don't want you to, I just want to know the steps. What are the 4 steps in long division?
Subtract.
Nope.
I want to multiply.
Nope.
Divide. Subtract.
Nope.
Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring it down.
Good. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down.
I need the lesser of 80.
Find the difference. Remember, all you have to do is line up the decimals here. Don't do anything else. You have to add a 0 so you can do 9 minus 0. But will you stop telling the answers? Thank you. So don't worry about it. So you're going to line up the zeros. What does LCM mean?
Least common multiple.
Least common multiple. And so all that means is that you find the multiples of 5 and 10. It's not 5. 5 is not a multiple of 10. It would be 10 because when you skip count, 10 is the lowest number that goes into. Nope, not factor. Missing number in each unit rate. When you find the unit rate, what's the one step you got to do? Nope. Casey, you got to divide. So a unit rate is for one thing. Unit means 1. So if it's 24 for 4, you're just going to divide, give you 6. There are 5 dark colors for every 8 light colors. What are 20 dark colors? There are some strategies that people could do for this. How did you all solve this, Jordan?
Well, since there was 20 dark colors,
Uh-huh.
that was 4 times 5. The 5 dark colors. So I knew that I'd probably have to multiply 8 times 4.
Yeah, so Zayden, what he was saying is that he started with 4 dark, or 5 dark to 20 dark, which you multiply 5 by 4 to get 20. So he did the same thing to the light colors and got 32 as an answer. Taylor? So Taylor set up ratios. How did you set up ratios?
So I did 8, and then I kept on adding 5, so I got to 20, and I was adding 8% on that.
And you got the same answer, right? So you could do it that way as well if you wanted to kind of write it out so you could see it. So you have 8 to 5, and then 16 to 10, 24 to 15, and then finally 32 to 20.
Oh, okay.
The percent of 96 is 36. What's that sentence I told you all to remember?
Part is percent of.
Charlia,
Hey.
what's that sentence? Part is percent of whole. What's my part, 36 or 96? 36. So 36 is a percent of 96. What does of mean?
Multiply.
Of means to multiply. Can I multiply the word percent by 96? No. So if I can't multiply, I divide. What do I always start with when I divide?
The big number.
No.
The small number.
I start with the part. So you're going to do 36 divided by 96. Just so you don't hurt your brain, use a calculator. I would do it too. Once you use a calculator, you get a decimal for the answer. Move your decimal. That gives you the answer.
Twice. You have to move it twice.
Exactly. You got to move it twice. How many centimeters? So you start with the unit rate of 100 to 1. Basically, you're doing the same thing backwards. So instead of multiplying, well, actually, you're not really doing it backwards. You're doing the same thing you did with the dark and light colors. So start with 100 to 1. How do you get from 1 to 7? How do you get from 1 to 7?
8. No, it's 7.
You multiply by 7.
No,
I was
divide by 13.
I was concerned when you all said 8. You multiply by 7, and so you do the same thing to the top. That gives you your answer. This one, listen, this one had the biggest issue. So I told some of you all, though. What would the answer be for this?
7.
Casey?
7 to the 4th power.
7 to the 4th power. So exponential form just means that it wants an exponent. So if you have 7 times 7 times 7 times 7, it's going to be 7 to whatever power. To know whatever power it is, then you just count how many you have. That's like when y'all were discussing 10 to the whatever power. You said you would have to multiply 10 that many times. So same thing here. 7 to the 4th power is multiplying 7 4 times.
That'd be a long time if you had like 100 times 10.
So we're going to put this up. Go ahead and open up to your page for today if you're not already there.
Open the page. Wait, what did you put? 100? I mean, just stop. 74 to the billionth power. How many? What is that? I'll do it. What if you put 1 to the billionth power?
It will be long view.
It'd be a lot of ones.
It just be 1. Because you just multiply 1 by a billion. Or a billion times. You just be 1.
Hey class.
Multiply 1 by a billion.
So I will tell you, listen, I will tell you that when it comes to exponents, there's one rule, and it might show, I don't know if it'll show up on here or not, but it might. If you have anything to a 0 power, it's going to equal 1.
Oh.
So it doesn't equal, if it's to the 1st power, it equals itself. So 2 to the 1st power would just be 2. But 2 to the 0 power would be 1. So it's up there. It's the orange sign in the middle. Any non-zero number, so 2, 3, 5.5, whatever, that is to 0 power is going to be equal to 1.
How is that possible?
It's just a
You're
rule.
breaking my body.
It's a rule.
I mean my brain. I mean my soul.
You better have one put back. Cole. Okay. I found out Cole's the one that's been taking our pencils.
He put it in the sharpen.
Yeah, that's not the sharpen. Please go there.
Oh, I'm.
Okay. We need to get started. Yesterday we talked about absolute value. We talked. Hello. Hi. Really?
Yeah.
I'm giving out strikes today. I gave out shields, so that means I'm giving out strikes too. And tomorrow is Wonderful Wednesday. So if you get strikes today, you might get detention. Okay. So yesterday we talked about absolute value. And what is absolute value?
Oh, 13.
Jordan?
A number's absolute value. So say if, like 1 itself would be its absolute value.
But what is absolute value?
The absolute.
The absolute value.
What?
Absolute value.
The value is absolute.
What is absolute value, guys? How do I?
The amount away from 0.
The distance away from 0.
Oh, so like 13
So-
billion would be 13
So, like we talked about, I know one example that I did with, I talked about with my other classes. If you, none of you,
I lost my pencil.
well, Cortland had me in 3rd grade. And so we did an experiment where my brother came. He drives it, or he used to pilot a submarine. So like scientists would come and rent out the submarine, and he'd take the sub and drive it down to the bottom of the ocean, drive around down there, pick up stuff, and then come back up. So one experiment that I always did at East Cheatham is that they would take a styrofoam cup and they would color the styrofoam cup. And I meant to bring it today. I keep forgetting. But they would color the styrofoam cup. I'd send it with my brother, and he'd put it on the submarine, and he'd take it down to the bottom of the ocean. But when he did that, they were on the outside of the sub. And you know how when you fly in an airplane, your ears start popping?
Yeah.
You know what causes that?
Pressure.
The air pressure. So the air pressure pushes on your ears, and it tries to push all that air out, and it hurts. And so that's why you have to pop your ears. It's called equalizing the pressure. And so when I went scuba diving, I had to pop my ears when I went down into the ocean, because if just like going up, you have water pressure going down, and it would push on your ears and it would hurt. So I would end up, you could hold your nose like this and blow. And when you did that, air would come out your ears, and it would equalize your ears. But with the cup, since they were on the outside of the sub, they had that water pressure. So the farther they went down, it would push out the air. So because styrofoam is basically foam plus air, like they put little air pockets in it. So as the water pressure is pushing on it, it makes it go smaller because it's pushing the air out. And so they would have a styrofoam cup they would start with a styrofoam cup that's about 6 inches tall, and it would end up being about 1.5 inches.
Was it still a cup?
Portland?
I still have that cup.
Was it still a cup? Yeah, some of it he would have to put, he would take pieces of paper, like wad up paper, and put inside it before he put it on the sub, because otherwise it wouldn't be a cup. It would just, the pressure it comes from all sides, and so it would just make it into a little ball of foam. But with the paper inside it, it held it open to where it wasn't perfect,
That's
but
a strong paper.
but well, it doesn't have any air in it to pressurize out of it, and so
I remember we went into your room when
Yeah.
we did that experiment.
yeah. Did you do it too?
No.
Okay,
We just
yeah,
went into your room.
yeah. So
I'm 13.
no, this was when they were in 3rd grade. So Trey and Portland were there. I don't think the rest of you, Brianna, you were there too.
That was in your school 3 years ago?
It was when they were in 3rd grade. my brother came to school for a day.
You
But anyway, the purpose of the story is, as what I was telling them, the absolute value is basically the distance from zero. So when Drew, when he would go on the submarine to the bottom of the ocean, he wouldn't say, I'm going negative 2,000 feet below sea level. He would just say, I'm going 2,000 feet below sea level. But that 2,000 would be the absolute value. So really, whenever you talk about distances, you're talking in terms of absolute value. You don't necessarily say, oh, I have to go back negative 3 miles to the grocery store. You talk about it in terms of absolute value because you have to go 3 miles to the grocery store. So it's those key words that tell you if it's a positive or negative. So absolute value is just the distance. You're right that it is whatever the number is. If the number is -5, absolute value is going to be 5. But you just take off that either positive or negative sign. But the reason for that is because it's talking about distance. Today, though, we are going to talk about how we compare numbers and what we need to look at to help us know how to order it. But we're also going to be using greater than, less than signs. So we got our problem. I'm going to read it 3 times, move forward. So one morning it was -9 degrees Fahrenheit in Columbus, Ohio, and -7 degrees Fahrenheit in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Was it warmer in Columbus or Pittsburgh?
That's freezing.
What's the problem about? Gabriel?
The temperatures in Columbus, Ohio, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
It's just the temperatures. One morning it was -9 in Columbus, Ohio, and -7 in Pittsburgh. I can't talk. Pittsburgh. What was it warmer in Columbus or Pittsburgh? Danica? What are we trying to find out? Okay, one morning it was -9 degrees in Columbus and -7 in Pittsburgh. Was it warmer in Columbus or Pittsburgh? What's the important information, Rio?
The important information, -9 degrees.
Okay. What else is important to know? Jordan.
-7 degrees.
Yeah, so we need to know the numbers. So this shouldn't take you all very long. Solve this problem.
I kind of hurt my brain for a second to figure it out.
It's super difficult. It's 7. It's not Columbus. Whatever Columbus is.
Okay, so
Pittsburgh.
I'm watching pencils to see who's still working.
I'm just circling.
Okay, so what? Inequality is like it uses greater than or less than. Like it has 2 numbers, like 5 and 7. So 5 is less than 7, or 7 is greater than 5. It just uses those symbols. What's up? Well, then we're going to talk about it. So go ahead, turn and talk to your people.
I circled 7.
Hey, class. How'd y'all solve problems?
Easy.
I didn't ask how if you thought it was easy. I asked how you solved problems. Hey, didn't work now. How'd you solve? Oh, man.
I did my attendance. What?
Oh, okay. Hello. Yes. Jacob, go guide us.
Okay.
So, how did you solve the problem? What did you do? Cadence?
I read the problem.
You read the problem,
Yeah.
but that doesn't tell me how you solved it.
Surprise.
How do you solve it though?
My brain.
What did you think about?
The numbers.
What numbers?
7 and 9.
What about them?
That's 7. We confuse me.
What's the answer?
7.
What? So 7 is warmer than 9?
Yeah.
Okay. Because they're negative. So I didn't say that 7 was. I didn't say negative 7 was warmer than negative 9. I said 7 was warmer. But yes, you got it is negative 7. Rio, how did you solve the problem?
So I circled -7 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Put warmer under it.
That works. Gabriel, what you do?
I did. First I looked at the model, and it said negative numbers at ones to the left and right ones greater. Higher than negative, the least value.
Yeah.
Lower than negative, higher value.
So did anyone get that negative 9 was warmer?
No, because
It didn't trick you all?
small.
It's not. It's just
So, well, it's not.
From 0.
I wouldn't say that it's stupid. I would say that if you don't pay attention to the negative signs, you have the number 7 and the number 9. 9 is larger, so 9 would be warmer.
But 9's farther away from 0.
But if it's positive numbers, that means that it's warmer. Because as you go from left to right on a number line, then the numbers get larger. So if I'm looking at just the number 7 and just the number 9, 9 is larger. But since I'm looking at negative numbers, when I put those on the number line, negative 9 is on this side, which means it is smaller. Yes, Thomas?
I did the symbols.
Then you wrote inequalities?
Yeah.
So we'll get to those in a bit. But yeah, so that's one way to show. Another way to compare numbers is to write an inequality. Do you know why they're called inequality? What?
Because they're different qualities, like a 4K TV and like a
17K.
But why is it called an inequality?
Because it's not a good quality.
It's a whole number.
I don't know.
It's a W, obviously.
What entire
That's not
word is in there that is math related that we know?
Quality is
Equal.
Danica. Equals. So if
Equal.
something is equal, you use the equal sign, right?
Oh.
But the prefix
N.
in.
So it's
If something is
It's not equal.
it's not equal.
double.
So an inequality is not equal, which means we can't use the equal sign.
We use it a bit.
So we use those two signs.
Oh, so like this.
Alligator.
What's
the scribble?
So listen. So what's this sign called?
Like,
Alligator.
That's the alligator.
it's the greater than the
This is
lower.
the greater than sign. What's this one?
An alligator sign.
The less.
It's the less than. So there's two ways that I've taught to remember this. If you've had me before, especially, well, none of y'all had me in second grade, but in second grade,
I had you first.
I taught alligator mouth. So if you put little teeth on each one of these, they form alligator mouths,
They like
and they let me be the teacher. They form alligator mouths, and they like to. I always would say that they like to eat the bigger number. Because if you have 2 plates of food and you're really hungry, of course we're going to eat more than the smaller. So they want to eat the bigger number. So whatever way it opens to, that's going to be the bigger number.
What if the alligators are on a diet?
Well, but they're not.
Will they
So,
ever be on a diet?
Listen, another thing that I talked about is that if you take the less than symbol, if you kind of take it and set it up, what letter does that form? V?
V.
No, if you set it up flat.
A.
L and L. So the less than, when you take it and turn it, it makes an F. The greater than, if you take it and turn it, it makes this, which is part of the G.
Oh.
So that might be a way that you remember which one's greater than and which one's less than as well. So it's either way. Some people like one way. I actually just learned this way this summer. And so I was like, that's pretty cool. I didn't think about it. But it's true. So we can make inequalities. And if you look at the modelet, -9 is to the left on the number line, which means -9 is less than -7. You can use the symbols, and so you would use the less than symbol to say -9 is less than -7. Another modelet, 7 is to the right of the of -9 on the number line. So -7 is greater, which means you would use a greater than symbol. So that would be a way to write an inequality. Do what?
She wrote SOOOD.
Sorry.
So listen, if I wrote -9 is less than -7 and -7 is greater than -9, are they saying the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So on your test on Friday, you're going to be asked to write two different inequalities for one thing. So for -7 and -9, this is one thing. We're comparing one set of numbers, but we can write two different inequalities, which means we have to use the two different signs. And all we have to do to write it is just flip it.
Can we do both inequalities?
Huh?
Can we do both?
Yeah, on your test, there's going to be several, like 2 or 3 problems that say, hey, write two inequalities to go with these numbers, to compare these two numbers.
Why do so many people write on their table?
I don't know. So, we know though that 9 is greater than 7, right? 9 is greater than 7.
Yeah.
So why isn't -9 greater than -7? Charlia?
Because like this on the negative side, the higher number is, the colder it is.
Yeah, it's pretty much the opposite. On the negative side of the number line, the higher the digit is, then the lower the smaller piece it actually is.
Because 9, it's in the opposite direction. So 9 is further away from 0 than 7. And since it's lower than, since it's not a positive number and it's a negative number, the closer to 0, the hotter you are. But the further away from 0 and positive, the better you are.
Yeah.
So be negative.
So
Bad girl.
I'm so confused
You good?
with what you just said, but okay.
just see, he's not the teacher, so you don't have to worry about it.
I'm done.
Alright, cool.
Okay. So look at page 121. We are going to connect it, which means we're going to look at the number line. We're going to use page 120 to help us answer the questions on page 121. Take a couple minutes and answer these questions on your own, and then we will go over it as a class. If you finish these 6 or 5 questions, go ahead and do the try it problems. Zayden,
Yeah.
turn around.
Okay.
I do not understand the first
I'll
question.
come to you. Skip it and go to the next one. -9 is located to the left.
I just.
It would be, just where's that? It's on the negative side of the number line. Well, it's not below sea level. It's because this isn't sea level. This is just. So it's not going to necessarily be below sea level. So yeah, you're just saying where it is. So a lot of these questions, guys, they almost. So when I was in high school, I was a drummer, and they would always help. What?
You were a drummer?
I was on the drum line. But so when we were in the drum line, though, we always as we went. I think I marched for 6 seasons. But as we went like from season to season, our music got harder because we were learning more complicated things. Just like math, you're learning more complicated things as you go through school. But that would mean that the really simple, the rudiments that are like super, super simple, became kind of hard for us because we were used to all this complicated stuff. So, like number 2, where's negative 9 located? Where's negative 7 located? That can be a tricky question for you all. It's a really, really simple question. All it's as if you all were in first grade, or second grade, guarantee you could answer this problem no problem. Because that you could answer this problem with no problem.
Is it like
And so because it's a really simple question. It's asking, you're having to break it down to a really simple answer. So negative 9 is located to the left of 0. That's it. Negative 7 is located 7 units to the left of 0. Like, it's a really simple question.
I put, hold on, for number, what is the negative 7 located? Ow! I put 2 to the right of negative 9.
That would work.
I
So, but I mean, so that's the thing about this book, is that the questions aren't hard, but they almost become hard because you all are expecting them to be hard, but they're not.
I just put behind 0.
That would work.
I said further from 0 and closer from 0.
That would work. But I mean, there's no, as long as there are several right answers to this. And I think that's what happens with this class, is that you all, like I said before fall break, no one in this class is failing. You all know what's going on. You know what's happening. But because of that, when you get really simple questions, it almost seems like they're a trick. Because you're like, wait, it's supposed to be harder. We're in 6th grade. I shouldn't have But that's what it is. It's making you kind of think back to those simple questions and those simple answers. So sometimes when you get questions, like when we're doing these book questions, read them twice. Just be like, okay, this is, especially the connected questions, they're not meant to be like super hard. They're just meant to make you think. So we went over number 2. Number 3, from left to right, does the number line show numbers from least to greatest or greatest to least? So if we look at our number line from negative 9 to positive 7, do the numbers go least to greatest or greatest to least? Casey? They go from least to greatest. What is the temperature? What's the warmer temperature? Negative 7 or negative 9?
Wait.
Portland? Negative 7. What's up?
Is 0 bigger than negative 1?
Yeah.
0's a big number?
It's a bigger number than the negative numbers.
I didn't think that was possible.
So what city's warmer? Pittsburgh or what? Sorry. Yeah, Pittsburgh or Columbus. What city's warmer? Taylor? Pittsburgh. So number 5, model it shows that you can write 2 inequalities to compare the negative 9 and negative 7. What are 2 different inequalities that we can write to compare negative 6 to negative 6 to 5? And then how did you know how to write them?
It's just regular 5, it's not negative 5.
I know, I corrected myself. Negative 6 to 5. How could we, what 2 inequalities? Cole, what's one?
Negative 6 is less than 5.
So we could write negative 6 is less than 5. What's our other inequality that we could write? Trey?
5 is greater than less than 6.
5 is greater than what?
Negative 6.
Negative 6. How do we know how we can write? Like, how do we know that those are 2 different inequalities? How did you all decide that, okay, this is what they're going to be? Portland? Negative 6 is below 0, and 5 is above. How did you know? Like, what did you have to do to get your 2 inequalities? Jaden? Huh?
You had to read the problem.
Well, that. But all you had to do, like, one inequality, You just knew -6 is on one side, 5 is on the other, and then all you had to do is just flip it.
Well,
Just like you would flip an addition sign or an addition problem, but when you flip it, you have to also flip the sign.
I just saw the negative sign.
Yeah, and negatives are less than positive.
Yeah, so I
So-
didn't do that. Yeah.
Number 6. Remember our peanut butter jelly?
Time. Jelly
Nope.
time.
Remember the example where the dad asked the daughter, "Tell me how to make peanut butter and jelly sandwich," and the daughter says,
I have to.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, same thing here. I'm gonna make a list. Because I keep forgetting the things. I need to bring the cup thing.
What? There's so many scratches on
And I need to look up the peanut butter and jelly video.
I wonder if there was
Okay. But anyway, so the reason we ever even talked about that is because when we explain something to someone, we have to break it down. We can't just say, "Oh, you just read the problem, you're done." You got to explain it. So, explain how you could use a number line to compare any two numbers. What would you do? What would you say? Break it down. Don't skip steps. How would I use a number line to compare two numbers? Gabriel.
First, say you got -6 and -2. -2 would be greater because to the righter is greater and to the left is less than to the right. So even if it's negative, you write still greater. If it's positive, same way. So that's how you would know if one number is greater or one number is less.
There you go. Yeah. So in the book it says to graph the numbers on a number line. Look up each number is farther left, and that number is less. The two triad problems. If you haven't already done it, do it now. I want to see it before you're done, before you put it up, and then you can get started on your homework. Homework's page 131 and 132.
Do you want to do the number 6?
Yes.
Number 6. I didn't write it down, but I know it. I said it's bigger. So first. So I said first number line. And then you have. I know. I said first you make the number line. Then you have. First you make the number line. Then you have to evenly cut it into pieces. You cut it into equal and negative numbers, and then you also have to have the positive numbers. So you would put you would put on the number line, and then you would find where they go. So 10 and 9, 10 over here. You would also that's how you do it. Yeah. So -3
But then you put less. -3 is greater than -5.
Can I just make greater or
Well, you have to
it's like
Let's do some different numbers, like you know the alligator. It's the two numbers. So you see like -9 and -7. Yeah.
chill.
Hey, class.
Yes.
Unless you want to hear me talk for the next 10 minutes, please work
Oh, okay.
Like
quietly.
we get to talk.
No, unless you want to hear me talk for the next 10 minutes.
That's not fair.
I was walking in the hall, I tripped up and stepped on it and slipped in the cover. Yeah, it was a whole deal.
Let's get it out.
I can't relate. Mine's just dirty.
Casey's is perfect.
Fix your work.
Right, Casey? Casey's is perfect.
Really, really.
Oh, guys, if some of you would stop talking and work, you would be done with your homework by the time you leave.
Oh, okay.
Anna's on like the last problem in the homework, because she hasn't been talking and causing abuse issues. So work on your stuff and stop talking. I'm giving you the time so you don't have to do it tonight.
I'm done with that homework and I just need to do this one.
That's one of them. But now, and where'd it go? So if we have -5 and we have -3, as the numbers go from left to right, they get bigger. What is that? Okay, so then which one's bigger, -5 or -3? -3. So that means our symbol would open up that the -3 is bigger than the -5. And so when we wrote another one, then if we put -3 first and then -5, we would have to open up the other one. Okay? So this one should be a negative, one negative and one positive. So
You said
Shut up to me.
Oh, I said, stop working, stop talking. Oh my God. No one can say any word if you just stop talking. True. Okay. 9 is greater than -9. Now, let's flip it. Which way did it go? Right. Okay. Now be on the So a whole number and its opposite. So I need two for the like two numbers. So I need a number between here, but it needs to include what's the whole number that fits between those two numbers? It's only number one. It's a tricky one. So you have -0.5 and -9. What's the whole number that fits between those two numbers? And the opposite of 0. That's the answer. The whole number and its opposite. No. Yeah.
but I would just kind of cut it off. And I would do like 1.43 or 1 point, like I would cut it off at 2 digits. And I wouldn't keep on going. Guys, get your things together.
I'm done. I finished my homework.
Yeah, tell me what happened. Isn't it beautiful?
It was really easy.
When you exactly.
Like,
Oh,
very
yeah.
easy.
They're all been pretty easy. It's just a matter of them talking.
I wrote my stuff.
Actually, no.
Hey, we can do that with my bill.
Stand up, Bill.
I know that. She's having a snack. Holocaust. You're done.
What is it?
I'll take it.
Looks like a flashlight.
That's it. That's it.
Hey, class.
Hey.
When I say hey class, that doesn't mean that you answer it. You answer the question that I had asked before. You say hey class and stop talking.
It's Sandra.
Aubrey, will you ask Sandra?
Aubrey's. It's Sandra. What is that? It's a fake thing.
Hey.
Is it like a
My blue and purple pages look flat. Trey, this isn't your living room.
What?
Alright, not your living room.
Okay, that's good.
I'm gonna be there.
I love you.
Orange and green.
What color are we?
Orange.
You guys are orange.
I gotta go get
Miss Bewley,
Yes, ma'am.
will you send James up to the office when he gets in there?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Good.
Oh, I thought you were sending me to the office. Well, I was getting that boy.
You're at the red table.
First name is Miss Piggy. Miss Piggy.
You know that there's glue sticks, right? Oh my god, I said one thing here already. Like you ever.
I do now. Like you ever.
Full on honesty, it's rare for me too.
Jackson.
You're gonna try? Yeah, you are going to.
You don't know what you're doing. If they have all the
This is my book. It's going to be. I asked first and you agreed to it. I asked first though, and you agreed to it.
That's me. Where's no book? It's probably in there.
We could both remember to
Oh, mine. It's clearly right there. Go get
Comparing numbers. Hey, Miss Christie, will you go around and if they have it already glued, will you give them one of these?
Okay, if they have it,
If they do have
if
it
they have
already.
it,
And see if my parents is not.
They'll call me if they do.
I forgot my
You can sharpen a pencil.
oh, really, we're gonna use some more. Thank you. You got yours? That's yours?
Yes. Don't you down yours?
Thank you for the note that you
You're welcome.
It's in your
Wait, where's the blue bottle?
You what?
Kaylin.
Hayden?
Kaylin doesn't have a notebook.
Hayden, where's your notebook? You do have one.
I put mine in.
Hey, class. Yeah. So we haven't explained the shields to Miss Christie since she's been with us. Does someone want to raise your hand and explain what they are?
I need one more.
Austin, can you tell her what goes on with them?
Yeah, so if like you come in and like do what you're